Welcome to Balance and Purpose Healing. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? That question has been the subject of much philosophical and metaphysical debate for centuries. Often today it's replaced by what am I? Mother, daughter, lover, whore, goddess, economist, journalist, corporate bitch, energy healer, shaman. Often we get so caught up in our stories and our roles in the world that we believe they define who we are. My story started out in Scotland, where I was brought up in a strict Protestant family. It seemed as if everything joyful was sinful, with sex at the top of that list. And things were done for others not from a place of compassion, but from a place of fear. If you didn't do what was right, you would go to hell and burn for eternity. My parents were from the war generation, the time of fear and shortages, so success was very much seen in financial terms. Work hard to survive as comfortably as possible. I played that game very successfully for 45 years. I gained a first-class honours in economics at Glasgow University before moving to London to work at the Treasury, then the Cabinet Office. I got a postgraduate degree in economics from Stanford University in California, and during the financial Big Bang of the 1980s, I moved to be an economist in the city at a major investment bank. After I had my first child, I didn't want to continue selling British investment opportunities to overseas investors, so I moved to the BBC to be a financial journalist. Over the next 13 years, I was primarily a TV financial journalist at the BBC, Sky, CNBC, Reuters and Bloomberg. I also started to do media training and message development for large corporations. By the late 1990s, I moved to be head of corporate and financial communication at a FTSE 100 company. Around the same time, I read a book which was to change my life, although I didn't know it at the time. It described the US government's remote viewing program, which started in the mid-1970s. In it, highly decorated, security-cleared military personnel were taught psychic spying, seeing things at a different time and place from where they were physically located. I was intrigued. It didn't sound possible, and yet it was funded by the Defense Department in the United States and run from the Stanford Research Institute using strict scientific protocols. I started to read the biographies of the psychic spies who had left the program to set up their own private training schools, and I became sufficiently interested to join David Moorhouse's program in Wales in November 2004. That experience forced me to change my belief system. Until then, I was totally convinced we are only our physical body. I had no religious or spiritual belief system and had emphatically rejected the judgmental, punishing God of my childhood. However, physically sitting in that room in Wales, something was sensing, viewing, experiencing, feeling targets at a different place and time. I couldn't deny my own experience. What was that something? Soul, spirit, mind, consciousness? How on earth did it work? I had no idea, but my comfortable world of spiritual denial had been shattered. My rational left brain was desperate to understand. I began an accelerated program of experiential study of altered states of consciousness in many places, alongside reading the literature on quantum physics, the holographic universe, non-locality and entanglement, as well as the modern medical branches of epigenetics and psychoneuroimmunology. I've now experienced many altered states of consciousness through meditation in India, out-of-body work at the Monroe Institute in Virginia, hallucinogenic ayahuasca with the shamans in Peru, past life regressions with Roger Woolger in the UK, rebirthing work in London, and many exercises with my main shamanic teacher Alberto Valloldo, who runs the Light Body School, to teach the traditions of the shamans of the Andes. I now know from experience that I am more than my physical body. I can access the universal consciousness because I am a part of that consciousness. You can too, if you choose to. Most modern physicists would agree now that non-locality has been proven. In simplistic terms, they split a particle, place the two pieces in distant locations. When they change the spin of one part, the other part simultaneously changes its spin too. How does it know? That experiment has been repeated many times with many variations, and it does happen. How it happens is still the subject of fierce debate. but it seems to rely on quantum entanglement. Everything in the universe is energetically connected, entangled. A much more detailed explanation is given in David Bohm's book, Wholeness in the Implicate Order. The modern medicines of psychoneuroimmunology and epigenetics are also discovering the physiological connections between our brains, our feelings, our emotions, and our health. Memory is not just held in the brain as previously thought, it's held in the cells and tissues of our entire bodies. This implies that we have far greater control over our health than we have been led to believe, because what we think, what we believe, and the hormones that we then flood our system with, hence our health, are to a large extent within our own control. There's also a growing body of evidence demonstrating the efficacy of what Dr. Larry Dossey has defined as Era 3 medicines, within which mind is seen as being unconfined by space or time. Non-contact healing modalities between people in each other's presence, as well as between people who are distant from each other in both space and time, then become possible with the non-local mind. That opens the door to scientific explanations of distance healing, prayer, spiritual healing, and healing the lineage of ancestors who have come before us, as well as past life regression work. My book, Corporate Bitch to Shaman, will be published in 2013, and it gives far more detail of my story and of the modern science and biology that explain how the ancient healings and shamanic practices work. It was born of a growing anger. The knowledge that I have pulled together is well known in academic circles, but it's suppressed and disparaged by the pharmaceutical companies, other major corporations, the media, the church, and other establishment institutions who would all lose power, control, and revenue if people became aware of their full potential to take responsibility for their own health and well-being, and if people realized with certainty that the death of the physical body is not the end of our existence. I believe this information needs to be disseminated and embedded into our educational system, our scientific paradigm, our healthcare system, our conditioning, to move us all away from the destruction of the environment and the increasing disease, depression, and drug dependency that we see around us. I'm now dedicating my life to helping others to overcome their limiting beliefs and reach their potential as co-creators of their own destiny, as well as expanding awareness of the truths about mind, body, emotions, and consciousness. I pray that my own story and the evidence that I present will encourage you to experiment and read for yourself, because it is only by personal experience that you will believe any of what I have been saying. I would like you to start, however, acknowledging how little we truly know and honouring the miracle of the universal energy field within which each of us is a tiny, interconnected spark. Thank you.